G'day, my name's Paul Morrison and it's my privilege to be hosting these sessions in conjunction with creating communities called Stronger Together. It's great to have you with us. We've been having some wonderful conversations with various leaders from our community and tapping into their experience, hoping they might be able to help us through this time. We're joined again today by Griff and Longley from Nature Play WA. Thanks for joining us, Griff.
Great to be here.
Good to have you with us. Now, is it just me, or at the moment, am I seeing more parents and more kids out and about in parks, in the space of a week?
Yeah, look, I think we definitely are, Paul. And it's a strange one because right as we're in this social distancing time, we're seeing more people out and about. But it actually makes sense. When you've got houses where people are in them more, that pressure cooker of the family environment is really starting to build. So it's really important that people find ways to get outside and relieve that pressure, and we're seeing that happening.
Now, obviously, one of your roles with Nature Play is to get kids outside, mucking around. Do you think we're getting a clearer understanding at the moment of how important that is?
Yeah, I think we are, Paul. I think people are really starting to feel the absence of being outside all the time. I mean, in our regular lives, we're outside, in and out of the car, in and out of work, in and out of school. It's a constant, and it really feeds our well-being. And when it starts to be taken away, you really start to feel it. And that's when it starts to sink in just how big a part of your life it really is.
Yeah, so important. And have you noticed or seen anything that's really caught your attention, that's been creative? You might have seen online people, I think this started in the States, but people are putting teddy bears in their windows for the kids to count.
Yeah, look, I've seen that one, which is fantastic. The other one I've been seeing a lot is kids out in their driveways with chalk. In fact, just as I was coming here today, I drove past two little kids. They would have been, 4 or 5. Whole driveway was just a maze of colour. And that's the sort of stuff that parents sometimes are a little bit resistant, because you have to clean it and what will the neighbours think. But I think we're starting to see that stuff really lift because everyone knows they've got to do something, and you find creative ways to fill the void.
Yeah, I was one of those dads once. But now it's good to see, isn't it?
It is.
Now, obviously, you guys always have so many great ideas for people that want to get outside and things to do with our kids. What are some great ones you might be able to give to us again?
Yeah, absolutely. And look, we've just put together a list of 25 things to do in the world of social distancing. So it's a list of nature play related activities. But a couple of the ones that I think are really good. And the first one takes a bit of energy, but it's so worthwhile. The backyard camp out. Pull out a mattress, pull out a tarp. If you've got a tent, pull that out. Very soon we're going to be able to light a little fire and toast a marshmallow, do some stargazing. There's some incredible apps out there at the moment. And, this is Nature Play talking about technology. But you can use to see all the constellations, so you can see the whole sky, understand where all the different constellations are, take that time to lie outside with your kids, observe the stars. That's something you can do now if you're lucky enough to have a backyard, and thankfully most West Australians still do. Another great one is getting out on your bikes, the bike ride to nowhere, the lazy, slow bike ride as a family. When you're on that bike, you're not stopping and getting the contact with other people. You're maintaining social distancing. You're getting exercise. You're helping familiarise your kid with their neighbourhood, which is a really valuable thing, just to know, the footprint of their community. So bike rides at this time are fantastic things to do.
One of the other things we're obviously seeing is kids are home from school. Mum and dad are home from work. Do you think that, in regards to Nature Play, we're seeing an increased demand for all these ideas that, that are going to keep us busy? Yeah,
look, we absolutely are. Being a parent is the hardest job in the world at the best of times. You're by definition, you're sleep deprived and time poor. But all those pressures are really ramping up right now. And parents are having to do things that they're not used to having to do. I mean, if you've got a kid at home and they're at school or in pre-primary, how do you work through that as a parent? How do you manage a day of learning while also working from home? I mean, these are complex things to manage. So we're definitely seeing a rise in families looking for options. They're looking for ways to do learning in a fun way that as a parent they can manage is certainly one thing we're seeing a call for. but also just activities to keep kids entertained, because we don't want them in front of the screen all day, every day. I mean, we're definitely going to be using screens more now than we would normally, and we would like to, because we've got to find ways of keeping our kids occupied and having fun while we're having to do some of those, those parent jobs.
Yeah, one of my friends has his kids home, and at recess they're allowed to go in the pool.
Yep.
For recess, which is a bit of a treat they wouldn't get at school. Yeah, getting creative. Now, you mentioned when we spoke to you before, your Stronger Together tip was to be compassionate.
Yep.
How would you like to expand on that, and how do you see that outworking in the community going forward?
Yeah, look, I think it's one of those things that people have to find ways to apply in their own life. I don't think it's something that we can be prescriptive about. My view is that it's a lens to apply to the situation we're in. Certainly something that you can do is reach out to your neighbours. Even that can be a little bit complicated now, because you don't necessarily want to be putting an envelope in someone's mailbox that you're touching, that they're touching. So if you're going to do that, you have to wear gloves. You have to think about how you're going to do it without creating a transmission risk. But there are ways, and even if it's a question of speaking to people over the fence when you see them out, speak to the neighbours, ask them how they're doing. But I think the broad thing, Paul, is just reminding ourselves, and we always have this knowledge that, being a good person, part of that is thinking about other people. But it's at times like this when we really have to have that not just be a fleeting part of our broad picture of the world, and really a refined focus. And that time is now.
And fair to say, certainly for myself, with these new pressures, we need to be compassionate to ourselves.
I'm so glad you said that, because it's actually such an important thing. We need to maintain our own energy and our own well-being. And that's hard when the demands on you are increased. But, the ability to be able to help other people and to be, to look after our kids, be the kind of example to our children that we want to be, the ability to be the kind of neighbour we want to be, we can only do that when we've got a reserve of energy and well-being ourselves. So we actually have to schedule somehow, we have to find a way to schedule time for ourselves to build that up so that we can give it to others.
Great. Griff, thanks so much for joining us again. Always great to chat.
Thanks, Paul.
And thank you for joining us again online. You can check out some more of these conversations at Stronger Together, the website. We'd love to have you with us. Until then, make sure you stay safe, be compassionate, as Griff has said, look after each other. Remember to follow the government's guidelines on how to behave, how to look after yourself and your loved ones throughout COVID-19. And don't forget, we are stronger together.